Welcome to the 10-Minute Bible Hour podcast. Right now, we're going through the entire Bible to understand it as one big, cohesive story. We're covering one book each day, and this one is about 3 John.
Third John is a very personal letter written by the Apostle John, almost surely the son of Zebedee and the guy who wrote the Gospel of John and Revelation as well. Definitely whoever wrote this is the same guy who wrote 1st and 2nd John, because all 3 of these books pertain to the same situation, which is false teachers who were trying to force Jesus into certain Greek philosophical categories, and it wasn't working at all. The consequences were disastrous, and it undermined the teachings of Jesus and the apostles, and it sent the churches, probably in Ephesus, near where John was living, into chaos and confusion. So John counters that by equipping these confused Christians with a threefold test to determine who is indeed walking in the light, who is in Christ, and the threefold test is truth, obedience, and love. If you got all 3 of those things cooking, then probably what undergirds it is Jesus. If you don't have one or more of those things cooking, then probably what undergirds that is not Jesus. In 1 John, he lays out that test and cycles around it and through it a few different ways to really gently take the reader by the hand and walk them through this for their evaluation of themselves and the false teachers. In 2 John, we get a personal letter that is saying, hey, you have my blessing not to offer hospitality to these false teachers. They're not Christians. And if you offer them hospitality and help them and encourage them, you're actually encouraging things that you know full well have done damage to the church. That doesn't sound very nice. And 2 John might clang a little bit in that regard, but when we look at the damage that had been done by these falsehoods and by these predatory teachers, we understand why John came in like the Papa Bear and straightened things out, even though that Papa Bear has a pretty gentle growl. In 3 John, we're getting the most personal of these 3 letters, as John is writing to somebody named Gaius, who seems like a great guy. And John sent some of his disciples and associates to go and teach at this church where Gaius is at. And Gaius was like, great, I know John. I recognize this. This is the message we heard from the very beginning about Jesus of Nazareth. I accept you. Here's hospitality. And John totally affirms that. But then on the other hand, there's this guy named Diotrephes, and apparently he's one of these people who's trying to cram Jesus into certain Greek philosophical categories, and it's not working. And Diotrephes is being very aggressive in rejecting the teachers who John sends to get it straightened out, even going so far as excommunicating the people in his little corner of the church who were listening to the people who John sent. So John's going to address all of that. The easiest way to really get a feel for the whole letter is just to read it because it's very short and we have time to do it. It goes like this. The elder to the beloved Gaius, whom I love in truth. Beloved, I pray that all may go well with you and that you may be in good health as it goes well with your soul. For I rejoiced greatly when the brothers came and testified to your truth, as indeed you are walking in the truth. I have no greater joy than to hear that my children are walking in the truth. Beloved, it's a faithful thing you do in all your efforts for these brothers, strangers as they are, who testified to your love before the church. You'll do well to send them on their journey in a manner worthy of God, for they've gone out for the sake of the name, accepting nothing from the Gentiles. Therefore, we ought to support people like these, that we may be fellow workers for the truth. I've written something to the church, but Diotrephes, who likes to put himself first, does not acknowledge our authority. So if I come, I'll bring up what he's doing, talking wicked nonsense against us. And not content with that, he refuses to welcome the brothers and also stops those who want to and puts them out of the church. Beloved, do not imitate evil, but imitate good. Whoever does good is from God. Whoever does evil has not seen God. Demetrius has received a good testimony from everyone and from the truth itself. We also add our testimony, and you know that our testimony is true. I had much to write you, but I'd rather not write you with pen and ink. I hope to see you soon, and we'll talk face to face. Peace be with you. The friends greet you. Greet the friends, each by name. You can see stuff talked about in 1 John all over the place here in 3 John, including the heavy emphasis on walking in the truth, that concept of walking in the light. And also there's carryover from what we got in 2 John. about receiving the right teachers and stiff-arming the teachers who are participating in this falsehood. It's a beautiful personal letter that demonstrates John's care for his flock, and it also demonstrates his willingness to equip them with very practical measures so they know what to do under pressure. When you visualize 3 John, picture Gaius the Good. When you think about the theme, reflect on seeking true teaching that nourishes Christians toward obedience and love. And as another one of these really short books, it makes the most sense to just read the whole thing for yourself. 3 John, Achievement Unlocked. Next time around, we get the little book of Jude. I'm Matt. This is the 10-Minute Bible Hour podcast. Let's do this again soon.
This podcast is supported by many of you at patreon.com/the TMBH podcast. We're grateful because it supports our family.